quickly. Like that. Hi everyone. Very happy to be live with Victoria Goldman. Would you like to start us off with an introduction to yourself and your books?
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Victoria Goldman, and I'm the author of 3 crime novels. The latest one is Little Secrets, and then there's The Associate and The Redeemer. I'm also a health journalist and editor by day, and I help authors with their books, editing and proofreading for publishers and authors.
And do you want to give us a little bit about what Little Secret is about? Because I tried to talk about it in my review and did a very bad job.
Okay, so Little Secrets is set in a former prison that's now a luxury hotel. And 20 years earlier, 5 prisoners were killed in the prison. And the prison nurse who was accused of their murders died before the case went to court. And the case has never been solved. And 10 years after that, the prison was turned into a luxury hotel. So it's now 20 years after the prison closed and the prisoners died, and the hotel is celebrating its 10th anniversary. And people are desperate to find out what really happened 20 years earlier. And the key question is, did the prison nurse do it or didn't she?
I like that concept as well, because there are actually hotels that you can stay in that are former prisons, aren't there? It's not a
Yeah.
violently outside concept.
No, it's the idea actually came to me in, I think it was October 2019, when I stayed in the Oxford Malmaison Hotel, which is in the former Oxford prison. And the hotel again is it's prison themed. And I just had the idea as I'm staying there, and you're staying in rooms that are former cells. So 2 cells make up the bedroom and 1 cell makes up the bathroom. And I was thinking, who used to be in this cell, and what did they do? And obviously there were many of them. And it just got me thinking, what if there was a crime within the prison itself and that was never solved? And someone within the prison nurse in this case, was accused of the murders, and that led to it. And it was such a great place to stay, really atmospheric. So it was brilliant as a setting for a crime novel.
Donna said hello.
Hello,
Apparently,
hello, Donna.
apparently she's been telling you that I'm nice and that you'll have
She
great.
has, she has. This is the first time I've done a live chat. I've been to book clubs live, and I've done podcasts, but I've never been on a live chat. So hello, everyone. A
It's
little
not
bit
that
nervous.
different, though. It's absolutely
It's
fine. If you've done all those other things live, then this is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's not really that different. It's just
Uh,
getting
Sarah
used to it.
Sarah Blackburn says hello as well.
Hi, Sarah.
So with this one, you had that idea from like the Oxford of Malmaison. I'm sure there's another one somewhere else as well that's like a jail you can stay in. Um, how did you
Yeah,
come
there
up
are
with
lots around the world. I should add, there are lots of them around the world. And when I
it? Yeah.
created my own fictional version, I sort of amalgamated them all together. So,
I mean, yeah,
yes.
did you have to look into like kind of prison architecture and what they were like? Because you're very clear in the book at times about like the walls and the gardens and the things like that. I'm wondering if you did some like research. You've got like some
I
little
did a lot of
prison
research.
places and
Yeah, I did hours of research, I guess, looking into former prisons. The part of my book set in the prison is in the 1990s. So I needed to get a feel for 1990s in a prison as well. So I read some prison memoir, I watched documentaries, I searched the internet as we all do. I also spoke to a former prison nurse because my main character in the past is a prison nurse called Anna Kendall. I wanted to speak to someone who had been a prison nurse at that time to find out exactly what it was like in that setting, the procedures, the way they used to talk to each other, and what they wore, just everything about it. And she checked some of the information for me because I really wanted to get that right.
cool. I'm just like thinking they're like such a mine for like good stories, aren't they? Because some of the old prisons will have bodies buried as well. Because if they
Oh,
There's one near where I live, and they used to like hang people at it, and then they weren't like taken elsewhere. They were like buried in the prison grounds. So I'm imagining there's some like
Yeah.
of these old prisons that are probably the same, probably have had there's like scope for all kinds of stories. You could get a good horror
Yeah.
story here as well.
Yeah, that does come up in my book. The fact that my fictional prison, called the Pembroke Prison, or HMP Pembroke, um, does feature an area where prisoners are thought to have been buried, a couple of areas actually. And that does feature in my book. So it creates such an atmosphere, including in the present day where you've got this old prison that's now a luxury hotel. And it does make you wonder what happened here in the past. You know, who worked here, who was locked up here, and what happened to them all. And I
I,
really enjoyed that.
you do quite a good job of bringing that past to the present, don't you? And like dropping little hints in that everything's not quite what it seems, and people are all really interested, as we all often are with like true crime.
Yeah, that was fun. I do enjoy that. And sometimes I find, as I'm writing and going on, because I'm a big planner, I should add, as I'm writing chapters going forwards, I suddenly think of something that I've included in a previous chapter and how that would work for where I am at that stage in the book, and wonder maybe I put it there deliberately but didn't realize why at the time. So there are certain things that are there in the part in the previous chapters in the book that actually work well. So yeah, it required a lot of plotting to work it all out.
I'm trying to think of good ways of asking you questions without giving anything away, because it's one of those
I know it's difficult.
it's quite difficult, isn't it? Like there's a lot of things that anything there's like quite a lot that I'm going to go into spoiler territory. We're trying to avoid. Tell me about your other books. Do you write all standalones? Like do you write series?
Okay, so the first two books are a series or part of a series. I've yet to write the third. They're called the Shanna Reagan Murder Mysteries. They do have a theme through them, which is a Jewish theme. The first one is about identity and about heritage, which can apply to anything really. It's about a place of belonging. Um, it's about a series of fake plaques, like the blue heritage plaques that you get in buildings, suddenly appear on people's homes and in particular places. And rather than say something good about someone, they talk about something bad they've done, their misdemeanor. And my main character is a journalist, Shanna Reagan, and she starts researching into these and discovers that they link back to vigilante killings in the past and the local Jewish community. The Associate, which is the sequel, also features Shanna, and she's working on an interfaith project and a teenage project. And a woman goes missing, and they're not sure whether it's linked to the project because there's a lot of local uproar about it. Um, and then another woman goes missing, and she's investigating where these women have gone and why they've gone missing and if something bad has happened to them. And that's very much about interfaith, as in all the different religions and just local community and everything. And that's about that. And The Associate actually won a Crime Fiction Lover Award in 2023, which is really lovely, I should add. So yes, those are my two books. And Little Secrets is a standalone, as you've said. Um, I mean, interesting. One of the things that I will say is when creating Little Secrets, we were talking about the prison and the prison hotel, is I wanted to make it all really real. So I imagined myself in those environments, and then I even created. I'm actually just going to show this. I even created a fictional invitation for the weekend, for the anniversary weekend. Um, and then every good prison has a logo, or prison hotel has a logo, or hotel has a logo. So I created a logo and put it on a towel. So in my head I could visualize what my hotel was like, because I wanted it to be a really luxury hotel and have all these things involved. And sense of place is important in my other books as well. But the second one, The Associate, again features a really old building that has a lot of history to it and a lot of secrets.
I like the merchandise. That's pretty cool. Is it also like a good little kind of um advertising sort of little giveaway things you could do as well?
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet, but something else I did, I was looking at was do not disturb signs. So I do have do not disturb signs front and back, which are promotional. And I haven't actually done anything with them yet, but this side says please do not disturb. I'm busy reading. And then you've got little secrets, and the other one says please come back soon. Just one more chapter. So I created these things, and I haven't had the chance to do anything with them yet. I'm still deciding, but I may do some. I should do some giveaways at some point. Definitely.
Yeah. I like the theme. I like that they're on the theme, like on the branding. That's really clever. Um, and I think it's like a sign of the imagination that's gone into it as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I really enjoyed writing it. I have to say, it was fun. It was fun to do all that research.
do the Shanna series, which Sarah says she loves, by the way.
Thank you, Sarah.
Do they are they set in like a real place? Because I know, like you've done all the research for the other one, but it's not. Oh, it's obviously a fictional location.
Yeah, the others are also fictional locations, but based on locations I know. And I wanted to do that to give me artistic license. So the first book, The Redeemer, is set in Hertfordshire, in an area very similar to mine. And it's on the outskirts of London. And the second book is set partly there, but it's also set in East London, which is a much grittier area. A lot more going on. There's gun crime, knifings, drugs, a very different area. So that was fun. I just thought I'd create fictional versions, particularly with my local area, so people wouldn't say, "Oh, but that's not there," and "Is that me?" and things like that. So I decided to do that for artistic license. But I do like to research areas and visit areas, or at least research them online a lot before I write about them.
So, I mean, it must have been quite a shock if you started out writing a series to swap to writing a book that's a standalone.
Yeah, there's a bit of a history. I wrote The Redeemer, the first of the series, in 2019. Actually, before that, I finished it in 2019. And I was trying to get an agent for it. And a lot of agents said they loved the book, but they didn't think they'd be able to sell it. And one agent in particular said, if you write something else, come back to me. So I thought I'd write something completely different, which was what I called at the time my prison book. And the agent said she really enjoyed it, but she wanted some changes. I made some changes and then it didn't work out. And at that point, I wasn't quite sure what to do. And I realized how much I still loved The Redeemer. So I decided to get The Redeemer out there. And then a year later, The Associate went out there. And I kept looking at my prison book thinking, what shall I do with it? What shall I do with it? And in the end, I finished the suggestions that that agent had made to rewrite it. I'd rewritten a third for her as she suggested or asked for. And I finished off rewriting the rest. And I sent it to my editor, who worked on The Redeemer and the Associate. And she said she loved Little Secrets. And she said to me, you need to get an agent for this or try again. So I sent it out to some agents, and within 8 days, one agent, an agency had signed me for it. And it was all very exciting. This was just over a year ago. And then unfortunately, life happened, as it often happens. And in the January, beginning of this year, um, life happened, and my agent and I were no longer together, not through no fault of mine or hers. It was just circumstances. And I had this book that was ready to be submitted to publishers, and I didn't know what to do with it. I tried to contact other agents, and I didn't hear back, or a couple of them said no, it wasn't for them. Fair enough. And in the end, I decided, you know what, life's too short. I'm just going to get this out there myself as well. So that's why I decided to get Little Secrets out there before I write the next in my series. The next in my series is partly planned, and I've done a lot of research, and I just need to knuckle down now and actually write it, which is my plan, hopefully, for the new year.
Good to hear. How do you find like marketing them? and doing all that other stuff as well, if it's all on you.
I find that really challenging. I'm naturally quite a quiet person, and it's been a learning curve. I've been a journalist for a very, very long time, a few decades, and I know a lot about the advertising marketing side because that's also been part of my job for years. And I've worked for publishers and I freelance for publishers as an editor and authors as well. So I know how to market a book to some degree, but I think it's become more tricky because social media has become more challenging. Um, when it's just on you, I think that's much harder. But there are ways to do it. It's hard work, and it's important not to let it get in the way of actually writing your next books.
Yeah, I can imagine because it could take up too much of your time when you already sound like a very busy person.
Yes, I guess I am. As I said, I'm full time in the day job, and I do lots of different parts of my day job, for lots of different clients and lots of different types of things, writing articles, editing and proofreading books, and writing health information. And then in the evenings, it's time to knuckle down and write. Um, and then I have to fit the marketing in as well.
Do you find, because we talked before we went live about your science background, have you ever had authors wanting to consult you on that? Because people who have a bit of an expertise
Yeah.
in science are often of great interest to authors.
Well, it's actually quite funny because recently I've been thinking a lot about that. I've edited a lot of health books and self-help and self-development for publishers, and audiobooks as well. And I do a lot of fiction as well, particularly crime fiction. But I was thinking about the health side, that is where my kind of two worlds collide with the health writing and editing and the book work. So I am increasing the amount I offer on the health side because I have a biomedical science degree. I have a master's in science of communication. So I guess I'm a specialist expert in health communication, including in fiction. And I think that it's really important if you have health in fiction to get it right, make it believable, make sure it's accurate and realistic. And that's something that I can certainly help authors with. And I enjoyed that part of Little Secrets, the actual healthcare side. My other two books haven't featured health in them, but this one did, healthcare department and the actual health side of a prison nurse treating prisoners. So it was fun to do using my biomedical, my health background.
Yeah, I can imagine because it's quite nice to bring that sort of knowledge in, isn't it, from outside
Yeah,
your.
definitely. And I've seen a lot of books with health in them over the years, and some of them have been brilliant. Some of them they've skimped over the health side, and I think it's because they haven't known how to do that research or how to explain the health information to their readers, to the layperson. Um, and that's where I would come in because I spend part of my day job converting medical information into patient information so that it's easy to read. And I really enjoy doing that. And I can advise on reputable places to actually get that health information from because there's a lot of information out there, but a lot of it is just not reputable and reliable.
No, and there are a lot of science communicators. I'm thinking like Ben Goldacre, for instance, who are quite keen on
Yes, yes.
looking at where it's not reported very well.
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, obviously, it's something I would never specifically say. I'd never highlight a particular book, or I never have over the years. Um, but I do think that it would just be good. And I looked, and there's nowhere for authors to get that kind of help. There's a lot of help for crime writers, as a key example, but there isn't any help out there for people who want to include more health in their fiction, and also obviously in their non-fiction. Although a lot of people writing non-fiction health will already have that kind of background. They might be a doctor or healthcare professional or they're in that kind of area, self-help area. But I think in fiction, if your character has a particular medical condition or is taking certain medicines, then it's something to think about. Are they right for your character, their circumstances, their setting, and all these different factors, their age, their, just everything about your character. If they have a health condition, is it right for them? Just as healthcare professionals look at someone with a medical condition and treat them as an individual, I think you have to treat characters in the same way.
Yeah, and with a push to have kind of more diversity and different types of characters in books, that probably is really useful help.
Yes, definitely, because how someone responds, as we all know ourselves, if we have health conditions, how we respond to symptoms or having a health condition or having to treat it really is such an individual experience. Um, and I think that would relate to characters as well. If you have a character, what is their background? What is their age? What is just everything about them? And how will that affect how they respond to either a diagnosis or a particular symptom, even if it's just back pain? It could be anything, non-specific back pain, or headache, non-specific headache, migraine. How would they respond to that depending on what they're doing or their background, their life circumstances, just as real people do.
With your Shanna series, you were talking about that sort of being about someone finding their place and like the interfaith kind of aspects of it. And I think that sounds like another like really interesting avenue to explore in crime fiction.
Yeah,
Made
I've
you
offered. Yeah, sorry.
carry on. No, carry
Yeah,
on.
I've offered, and I have done for publishers and authors. I've been approached asking to look over Jewish components of fiction to check that it's accurate. And it's not a sensitivity read as such. It's just checking it's accurate because again, as I was talking about health, and the same applies to anyone of any religion or ethnicity or anything like that. Um, how you how you live your life will depend on your circumstances. So rather than just being generic, I can actually look at is this person practicing a religion or their culture in a way that suits them in the book. And I've had this before where it was set in the book was set in the 1920s, and someone was asking me to actually read through, and I advised them on that, and how religious these people were as to what they would actually be doing at the time. So I helped them get that right as well. And that's something I've also done. I don't specifically offer it, but people do come to me if they need some help or advice.
Is that what made you want to write about it in your own books then as well?
Yeah, I obviously this Facebook group's for crime fiction fans. There's Faye Kellerman in the US. There's Julia Dahl. She's also written Jewish themed crime novels, and they've done very well. There's no one in this country who's been doing that, and I just thought it would be really interesting to. I guess it relates to my day job because it's kind of to educate as well as entertain, and as in people learn something as they're reading, and a lot of people who've read The Redeemer and the Associates said they've learned so much about what it's like to be Jewish, a British Jew, and the diversity of it, and the culture and the lifestyle and all these different factors, and also with the Associate how important interfaith is, and how much it should be continued. Um, and that's what it's all about. It was just a different angle, giving people something slightly different, that hadn't been done in this country.
Yeah, I don't think many people are aware of like the interfaith networks and things. Oh, they had a friend who sits on the one in Leeds.
Yeah, there's been so much going on. There's a lot going on locally in my community between all the different faiths locally, and it's just really lovely to see. And people don't realise how much there is. Some of it's charity work, some of it's just education, some of it's just activities, entertainment. There's just so much going on, and I think it's just really important. So I enjoyed putting that into the two books. The third book will also feature some Jewish themes. I do have it planned, so I'm not going to say yet. Yes. Don't want to go into any spoilers, obviously, before I finish writing it. But yes, there will be. And again, it's something that people hopefully learn a bit as they write and as Shanna's going around solving murders and crimes and all manner of things and mishaps.
So tell us a little bit about Shanna as a character.
Right, well, she's a journalist, freelance journalist. She's a former travel journalist. She's traveled the world. She spent a lot of her childhood traveling as well, so it's part of her. And in The Redeemer, the first book, she has settled down in a small Hertfordshire town and she's taken on what is actually a really boring job, working for a local magazine with a horrible boss. And she's still dreaming of adventures and travel, but she's at a stage in life, she's in her early 30s, she's thinking, maybe I should settle down a bit, maybe there's more to life than just traveling the world and not settling down. So she's stumbled upon stumbled across this town, and she is very, very nosy. And she loves asking questions, and she stumbles upon, as I said, she stumbles upon these fake blue plaques. And the idea for that came from friends who have given as presents fake blue plaques to people they know, like to celebrate a birthday or to highlight something they've done that's good. And I walked past one of the houses thinking, what would happen if people found these plaques on their house or in the street near a house? And as I said earlier, and they said something really bad about the person. And it got Shanna thinking as well, because she's an investigative journalist or a travel journalist, and she started investigating them. And she learns a lot about the local community and the local town as she goes along, and she also learns a lot about herself. My books are very character led, particularly the Shanna series. It's very much character led, as well as setting being important, and obviously the crime itself and the mystery. Um, but they are very character led as well.
I'm feeling like there's a whole new thing we could discover as a nation. Like maybe not a blue plaque, maybe a different coloured one that does have like, something weird that's happened somewhere. That goes,
There are probably a few actually, because there are a lot of people who you can buy them online. You can buy these plaques online, and actually, if you look behind me, you'll see a cushion, if you can see, with a plaque on it that says Victoria Goldman published The Redeemer here, and it's got the date of publication that my husband bought me, for publication day. So there are a lot of these plaques around, and I do wonder if when people order them online, whether they all say something nice. I should contact the companies and find out. I didn't do that, but I did walk around London a lot looking at blue plaques. And I think when you become aware of them, you start to notice them. So I'd go to places and I'd then spot one and take photo, and I'm sitting with the photos. But yeah, I wonder if there's a market to do weird, really weird ones, as well as just like, this really nice person lives here.
I think people get a kick out of going around looking for the really weird ones. Um, isn't there one in London where Danger Mouse lives on like a post box somewhere?
Yes, I think there is. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go look for that now. Take a photo. Yeah, no, I think there is. I'm sure there are. I'm sure if you Google, I mean, Google anything these days, if you Googled it, you'd find a list of really weird plaques. There are some strange ones, and I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm sure I've seen some really weird ones as well.
I mean, I don't think the Danger Mouse one is weird. He's like a great British kind of hero.
Oh yeah, it's just a fake one as such.
He deserves his own plaque.
Oh yeah, I love Danger Mouse.
Uh, so what's next for you? You got the next one planned out. How many books do you write in a year?
Oh gosh, one, definitely one. I write in the evenings after the day job, so I at the moment I couldn't write more unless I cut down on the day job. Um, but I'm a really big planner, so before I start writing, I do a certain amount of research. I work out where my character is at the beginning of the book and at the end of the book, and I did this for Little Secrets as well. And then I start thinking about more characters and obviously the setting, and I begin to plot out key chapters and where certain key events happen in the book. So a quarter through, halfway through, three quarters through the end. And so I do a lot of that planning. I'm flexible, obviously, a lot of it changes as I go along. And then when I write the first chapter first and the last chapter usually. And again, they might change, but actually, they often don't change very much. And that way, I know where my character is at the beginning of the book and where my character is at the end, even if I don't know exactly what happens in the middle. And then I start writing, and I generally write from A to Z, from the beginning to the end. Occasionally, I dip in and out and write some of the more exciting, the action chapters or the heavy dialogue chapters that are a bit further along, and then add in the slower, maybe slightly slower chapters, where someone's thinking about what's going on. I fill in those maybe a bit later, but generally I write from beginning to end. So by the time I end up with a finished book or a finished manuscript, I should say, um, it's quite well organized. I also edit as I go along. So by the time it's gone to my structured editor, it's it's well polished, even if she suggests, no, I think you should cut that out, or I think you should change that, or you need to expand on that. But it's actually quite well polished. So by the time I've done all that and sent it to her, you're looking at about a year. I'm trying to look at the book with the Redeemer. That took me 2.5 years to write, but it was dipping in and out. The Associate took me a year, and Little Secrets took me a year, and then obviously all the edits after with agents and so on. But about a year to write a book. Um, the third book, which isn't titled, is partly written, so I don't know how long it will take me to finish that off. But that is in the planning.
Are you like buzzing with ideas of things to write? Do you have like other ideas after this of things that you would do?
Oh gosh, yes. I always have standalones in my head, or I'll jot things down as I'm out and about, or I see something in the newspaper, or I'm chatting with someone, and want to write it down. So yes, I have lots of virtual notebooks and real notebooks, and emails to myself. I have a habit of emailing things to myself, so that I don't forget things. So I store away all these emails of write about this, or sometimes it's the title of a book. I'll suddenly think of a title and think, that would be such a good title of the book. I don't know what the book's about yet, but it would be a really good title. So I have all these notes to myself somewhere.
That's that's pretty that's pretty cool. You have to be organised about where you keep your notes.
That's why I emailed them to myself. So at least they're emailed. If I wrote them on scraps of paper, they'd be lost around the house.
Do you have any inventive ways? So you're quite a plotter. We've established that. Do you have any inventive ways of keeping track of all your characters? I'm thinking of people like Victoria Dowd, who writes quite I don't know, isolated books, and she builds little Lego, or kids build a little Lego
Um,
houses so she can track where her characters are in them, like every step of the way.
yeah, no, I tend to see things. I tend to see things in my head. So when I'm writing a scene, I can see it in my head. I'm playing it out in my head. Or sometimes late at night when I want to go to bed, and it's like, no, I want to go to bed, so I'm scribbling notes. Um, so yeah, I just keep track of them that way, and sometimes I'll suddenly realise no, a character's not supposed to be there. I guess I'm also used to editing books for authors either directly or through their publishers, so I'm used to that side of things. So as I said, I copy edit as I go along anyway when I'm editing myself. Um, so I'm used to that and spotting, oh, actually that cup of tea wasn't there, or that used to be a mug, things like that, or that character wasn't there. So but I do have to keep an eye on certain things. I mean, as we all do things like eye color and hair color when I introduce characters, or what they're wearing. And I do sometimes have to go back, right, what were they wearing in this chapter, because they haven't changed, and why are they still not wearing it. So I do notice that, but I certainly do that as I go along. And I do write notes. I scribble notes, again, emails to myself usually, to say, in chapter 3 she needs to be wearing this, or she needs to be holding this, or that door's no longer there, things like that.
Do you have, because I like how creative you are with like your blue plaque pillows and your prison towels and things like that. Do you have like a really cool author page or like website where you're sharing all of this stuff? Because that is exactly the kind of thing that would draw me into an author than doing all
I
that kind of
share it.
cool stuff.
Yeah, I share it on my Facebook page, which is Victoria Goldman Books, and I share it on my Instagram, which again is similar. I can't remember what my handle is for that, but I'm easy to find. Um, so I do share it on those. I often share photos of different things going on. I mean, something else that I did, which I haven't shown, is this. I created it for publication day, which is the front page of the newspaper. That's in March 1999, before the past thread of my book of Little Secrets, and it says HMP Pembroke closure announced, and I actually wrote a little article for it and things like this. And I've shared things like that on my pages, or on Instagram, and it's fun. I enjoy doing that. I love the marketing side. I became a journalist, but part of it was always about marketing. And having freelanced my entire career, which is quite a long time, I won't say how old um, I've had to self market. I've had to market myself, which I hate doing, but I've constantly had to keep clients coming in, and things like that. So I just see that I'm doing it for my books, and I've treated my books as if they are traditionally published. I've used structural editor, copy editor, proofreader, cover designer. Um, so I feel that on the marketing side, obviously I don't have the budget that a publisher has, but I will do what I can, because I want to give my books that chance to be seen and be read, because I wrote my books to be read, and I really want people to find them. And I think that most authors, traditionally or self-published authors, have to market their books these days. And we all have to find ways of doing it, and ways that suit us, you know, and ways that work, which is a challenge.
Have you ventured into the TikTok market? Because that's apparently quite big for books, isn't it?
I haven't. I'm not one for videos. Photos, yeah. I don't think it's for me, unless I hired someone else to do it. Um, Someone said I could do TikTok but not be in it and just have my books. And I said I'm not really sure that's going to work. So I know I haven't been brave enough to do that. I know a lot of authors haven't been brave enough to do it, and I should do. I should do it at some point, but I'm not quite sure.
You
Um,
should get all the big on book like TikTok books, don't you? That are going around. So
Oh
at least
yeah, it's
yeah,
huge. It's huge, particularly fantasy. Fantasy is such a big area that has come from TikTok, from what I can tell. And you go into, it's not WH Smith's anymore. What is it? TG Jones, is that right? And you go in there. In fact, my local one's closed, and you see something like the shelves seen on TikTok, or whatever it says. And I just find it really interesting, because most people I know have never heard of TikTok or have never been on TikTok. But you go into these shops, and that's how the book's being marketed, as seen on TikTok, which I find really interesting. So I know it's a really big thing, but I don't actually know that many authors who are on there. And I know some have been very successful. But I think you've got to be very confident to do it. You've also got to have the time to do it. And I think that's the other problem, particularly when you're doing it all yourself, is having the time to do all that marketing. Um, and I've learned a lot of new skills. As you can see, I love designing. I even designed, I don't know if I've got it next to me, a key card for my hotel, which again I haven't done something with, but I designed a key card for it, because that key cards feature in my hotel. So I thought, oh, that would be quite fun.
do you go
Um,
to many live author events? Do you know, like in person kind of book festivals and things like that? Because those would be great places for things like your do not disturb hangers and stuff like that.
I went to Harrogate in July. I didn't have those at the time, I was still getting little secrets together to get it out there. Um, but yeah, I mean, I love going to festivals, and that would be absolutely brilliant. So if I get there in July in 2026, then obviously I can take some of those with me. There aren't many. I'm in Hertfordshire. I'm on the cusp of London, and there aren't many London events these days. So I don't tend to go to that many events at the moment.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
hopefully
there's
that'll
the
change.
Capital Crime and the Clapham Book Festival.
Yeah, I mean I'm north. I mean it's not that I can't travel, but it's just finding the time to do it really. And capital crime just hasn't worked for me, the timing. But maybe another year it will. So then I can go along. But I do. I mean, I love going. I love meeting people and chatting. I can chat about books, whether my books or other people's books, and writing and editing. I can chat about that for hours. So I do love going to all these events. In fact, tomorrow I'm meeting up with a writing friend, another crime author, and we're going to have a right chat because we haven't seen each other for a long time. So that'll be really nice.
That's lovely. Well, next time we go to Harrogate, let us know because I would buy you a drink.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, I'd love to meet you and lots of other people.
Because I
Definitely.
always go. It's like ridiculously close to my house. It's about an hour on the
Right.
train, so I don't really have an excuse.
No, when it's close. I mean, it's great fun. It's a great weekend away, and see people. So hopefully I'll get there in 26, which is almost here, which is quite frightening, really.
It can be. I think if you go as a visitor from out of the county, though, it can be quite expensive because Harrogate's not the cheapest place to stay.
Yeah, particularly that weekend, because it's key festival season. So it does tend to be quite expensive. Um, so we'll see. We
I
shall
guess
see.
I mean, the other option is to stay in an outlying town and commute in, which might work.
Yeah, I think people have done that. I've always stayed in a hotel right in the centre, um, just because I like being really close to the swan to the venue. It's just easy to be close to it, but it is expensive. A lot of these festivals are now very expensive. Life is expensive. That's the problem. Um, so so yeah, you know, and hopefully I'll get there, and hopefully lots of other people will get there.
So I'm a big fan of Literature Festival in Bradford, and it goes across the city centre. It's in June, let's say June.
Right, right,
Might be wrong, but yeah, it's around then every year. It's such like a lovely one, and that prices the tickets really reasonably. Some people can
right,
go pound, but the most expensive ticket for most panels is like £7,
right. Okay, so that's really good.
and that's like
Um,
very accessible. I think there's a lot of really good interface stuff as well
right, okay, okay.
because
Now it
it's
sounds
like
really
very
interesting.
it's like a multi sort of genre festival.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I will look around for next year. I haven't done it yet to see what's going on. There are a lot of crime festivals all over, so it's a case of finding out what works and what fits in, cost, all these factors. But it'll certainly be fun to go to some more, because in recent years I've only managed to make it to Harrogate. I went to Bristol Crime Fest for a few years. That was fun as well. Um, but it's just finding the right ones to go to. Yeah.
Bloody Scotland, that's be really good.
Oh
Donna
yeah, I'd
says,
love to go to that.
yeah, me too. Donna says she loves how the happiest places to live featured quite a few book festival locations.
Oh really? Well, there you go. It's like, isn't it is it Hay on Wye where that's full of book shops and books.
I know, I would love
Um,
to go there, and I've never
I would
been.
love to. Yeah, no, I would love to go there as well. I don't think I'd ever want to leave with all those bookshops. And if I go away, if I go abroad, I always look for bookshops. It feels like home going into a bookshop, even if I can't speak the language. I just love going in and just
Oh yeah, and
seeing all the books.
You have to have your favourite bookshops like everywhere you go. I got gifted a literature map for my birthday recently, and that was great because it's got like
Oh
for every
wow.
location, it's got like kind of famous authors and literature festivals and bookstores and things like that.
Oh, that must be fun. I'll have to get one and hang it on the wall, I think.
Yeah,
Places to visit and tick them off or something.
it's a bit, I live in Leeds, and it was a bit low on the information about Leeds because, like, the suburb I'm in is the birthplace of Alan Bennett and Barbara Taylor Bradford,
Oh right, okay. So great links there.
and they weren't mentioned. And I was like, that's interesting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You should give them some feedback.
Yeah, well, you can't escape it, like where we live, because the town street sort of through the main bit of like uh the area sort of has them on plaques on the road. Like there's like paving stones in the path, and it says Alan Bennett was born here, and you learn like random facts about the places you walk down it. So
Well, my local area is known particularly well for Wham and George Michael and Co and Andrew Ridgeley. So that's my local area. The local museum has a section on that, but and it's very arty around here. But there's no literature link, I don't think.
no,
Well, not
I
that I
mean
know of.
there's bits of music kind of stuff. We had soft spell and things, but yeah, it's some like good music stuff. But that's quite nice as well as like lots of little sort of hints about that. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
no. Lots of areas seem to have um, specific associations with culture, but as I said, my area, I don't think there's any particular link. There probably is, I just don't know it. With books and literature, I'm going to have to research that now and see.
so you
Um,
need my literature map, it would probably tell you.
yeah, that's probably what I need. I'm gonna have to look for one now. I'm gonna be googling, coming off here and googling, my local area
Well, I'm
with books and literature.
gonna spend some happy hours learning about like the local areas and various other places. To be honest, as well. Uh, so, if Netflix come calling, this is one of Sam's favourite questions if she interviews you. Netflix come
Mm.
calling for Little Secret to make the adaptation, or any other good streaming provider. We're not advocating one in particular. Would you want to make an appearance, and what character would you like to play?
Oh gosh. Well, it's a men's prison, so if I'm going to be at the prison, I'd have to be one of the staff members. I'd probably work in the hotel instead. Maybe I'd be on reception, or I can do the cleaning. I hate cleaning, but I could be housekeeping or something and try and make it look clean. I'd probably do that. I'd probably be in the hotel rather than in the past, actually. Although the past would be fun because that's the 1990s. So I'd either have to work, or the other option would be to work in prison healthcare, to be a character in prison healthcare because of my own health background, or health information background. Um, so I think that would be fun. I definitely wouldn't be one of the lead characters. Um, but yeah, no, that's a fun question actually.
Here's a good
Yeah.
one. Also, my favourite one is what have you read recently and really enjoyed? You can even give us your books of the year. We were recording our books of the year yesterday as the
Oh
admins.
gosh,
So
I should have made a note of this, shouldn't I? Because I'm terrible at suddenly I then forget what I've read or who the author is. I recently read The Names, which isn't crime, and I can't think who it's by. I haven't even got a phone here to check. And it's about um, it follows one particular person in three different directions. It's kind of a sliding doors, and what happens to them and the family in their life if they're given the three different names. And there's a reason why they might be given those three different names. So that was really good. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. I've also read some horror recently. and I can't think what I've read. What have I read? What have I read? Um, I don't know. I'm not going to remember that at all. My mind, you know, when your mind completely goes blank. Um, in terms of crime fiction, have I read? What am I reading at the moment? I'm trying to think. I bought something. I can't think what it is. Oh gosh, I'm terrible with this question. I do apologise.
That's like,
I've also been reading some fantasy at the moment, I will admit. Um, Partly because I wanted to see what all the fuss is about. I wanted to see, I'm really interested in what people are reading. So I thought, let me just try and see what people are reading. And some I've liked and some I've not liked quite so much.
so what
But it has
fantasy have
been
you read?
interesting. Oh, I've read some of the is it Sarah J. Maas fantasy? Oh gosh, again, my mind's going completely blank. But I've been following some of that. Um, Someone recommended a really good horror book to me, and I can't think what it is. I'd have to look on something, and I haven't got anything around me that's going to help me here. Um, because I quite like horror, and I actually like crime fiction mixed with horror or supernatural or something that gives it that kind of edge. Is there anything you've read that you would recommend?
I really like crime fiction mixed with bits of supernatural stuff, like urban
Yeah,
fantasy type stuff as well.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in. I'm a big fan of Sid More's Essex Witch Museum series.
Oh, right, yes, yes, yes.
That's very
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and obviously,
And
you can't go wrong with things like the Dresden Files or Rivers of London. But
oh, yes.
Sarah Painter's like an indie author up in Scotland, and she's got a Crow investigation series set in London that's
Oh, right.
got that vibe.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very
No,
good.
I'll have to check that out. I've just been reading a lot of really random books recently, like things that I've just kind of picked up and found, or I've been searching online and doing random searches and then found random books. Um, some books I've found that I picked up just haven't been right for me at that particular time, so I put them away. Um, I've also, I guess, been concentrating on marketing, so I've been reading some books about marketing. I've been reading some books for work. It's quite interesting because I go through phases with reading, particularly crime fiction. If I'm working on a lot of it during the day, then I find it harder to read it in the evening. Maybe because I'm focusing on that author's book at the time, or whether it's editing or proofreading. Um, so that's quite interesting. I've also been listening to quite a lot of these self-help and self-development books. They're quite motivational as well. Um, just ideas about what to do with your life and and things like that, and how to keep yourself motivated if you're writing, and planning what you're doing and keeping organized. So I've been reading a lot of that recently. So fiction I haven't been reading quite so much of. Um, and as I said, I've been reading some really random books that I've found. But I'm gonna have a look at more crime fiction again, because I do read a lot of crime fiction. Um, but I can't think offhand what I've been reading recently, which is really bizarre. But I know I've read some.
Well, I read predominantly crime because we do read for the interviews.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like horror. I'm looking at my book pile and it's got like horror and fantasy and biographies and non-fiction and
Mm.
some light novels from Japan.
Right, yeah, 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 yeah. No, I mean, I read a real mixture. And in fact, someone asked me when it comes to Christmas fiction what I read, and I said I tend to read Christmas crime rather than rather than anything else. Um, I don't tend to read the really festive books. I tend to read the dark festive books.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I'll go for a festive book as well. I like a good Christmas movie.
yeah, yeah. No,
My
I tend
family,
to like the darker side.
they'll be on from about September probably in my house, like my
Right.
parents.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's big enthusiasm for Christmas, and
Yeah.
in our family we all have December and November birthdays, which I think probably adds in to the joy.
Right, okay, yeah, no, in our house we're more sort of middle of the year, beginning to middle of the year. Um,
It's a much more sensible plan.
the weather tends to be nicer as well if you want to do something for your birthday when you're at that side. Whereas this time of the year, it's usually raining in this country, isn't it? We don't get snow, not down south anyway. I should add, we tend to just get rain. Um, so it's always very very wet.
One of my other
Try and
favorite
do something.
questions for authors, and you knew, so I can ask it, is would you like to make a graphic novel version of one of your books?
I think that would actually be really interesting. I think it probably work for all of them, but I think Little Secrets it would be really good for because it's a really graphic book. The setting, the crimes, or the two settings, because you've got the former prison setting in the past, and you've got the luxury hotel in the present day. So I think that would work really well, and it's really atmospheric. And I think that would be really good. The others would work equally well, but I think Little Secrets would be quite fun for the illustrator designer to actually do. One other thing that I did do, which I will mention, is I asked a lovely young man called Thomas Siegel to design a prison map for my book, and you'll find that in the this is for Little Secrets in the ebook and in the paperback, because I like the idea of having a map so that readers can actually visualize how it actually looks, and that's why I think graphic novel would be absolutely great as well. That would be really visual, wouldn't it? That would be fun.
Yeah, I like the map. I appreciate a map in a book. I always think they're a nice thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do love graphic novels. I've read quite a few of those over the years, and they're fun to read and easy to read as well. Yeah, no, I really enjoy those.
They have a good track record of crime writers writing for them as well, don't they? Like they seem to fit themselves to crime fiction well and draw in like really good crime writers.
Yeah, I think crime fiction does work well because crime fiction tends to be quite graphic, tends to be quite visual, tends to have quite a good pace to it. And I think that works well with the graphic novel. You want something that has good pace, and there's action that can be shown um, visually on the page, and you certainly get that with crime fiction because there's always something happening that you may not get with all other genres.
In your health communication hat as well, there's a superb Val McDermid graphic novel called Resistance. It's about antibiotic resistant bacteria.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's really interesting. I'll have to have a look. Yeah, I mean, again, with health information, I mean, obviously, graphics are really important in health information with helping people to understand some quite complex medical facts. Um, so, yeah, right, no, that would be really interesting to have a look at, actually.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
good. I recommend it.
something different.
Yeah, I don't often dip into kind of popular science, kind of non-fiction. I think it's so
Yeah.
hard if you have a better understanding of science to kind of find the ones that you want to read. But that was it's
Yeah.
fictional, it's fictional, but it's a really good read.
Yeah. I think it's harder to read for pleasure what you do um, as a job, I think. So I've always found, whereas people can pick up a magazine and read a magazine for pleasure, because I've spent so many years writing health articles for magazines, I find it much harder to actually read them just as a reader. That's not to say, obviously, as a crime writer, I don't enjoy crime fiction. That's slightly different, but I find with health that I can't enjoy a health article just for pleasure because it feels like work. It feels like I'm reading it for work.
Makes sense. Right. Finish us off by reminding people what they're going to go away and buy.
Right, so my latest book is Little Secrets, and as a reminder, it's a murder mystery, a locked room mystery, and it's set in a former prison that is now a luxury hotel. And it's about who really killed those 5 prisoners in 1999.
And the other series, because you've got them nearby,
And the
haven't
other
you?
series, yep, yep, yep.
What are
There's
all of
also
them?
The Redeemer and The Associate, book one, book two, and they are the Shanna Reagan murder mysteries. And they have Jewish themes, but not heavily. They are very much crime fiction. But it just gives a little bit of edge to them, a bit of depth to them, and hopefully a bit of interest.
And a lot of stuff to say thanks. And it wasn't scary at all.
No, no, thank you. I've had a great time. Thank you.
I'm gonna do that.
Bye, everyone.